Sergey Kovalev versus Bernard Hopkins. Taking place in November. Apparently it's signed. Kathy Duver is very happy. Kovalev's very happy. And Hopkins is either very, very smart or very, very dumb. One of the two. Most people would say he's very smart, but there's still a sizable contingent of people who say he's very dumb. I don't know which side of the fence I'm on right now. Betting against Hopkins is something which always seems logical given his age, but this guy defies logic. For a 50-year-old man, damn near 50 years old, to even be able to get in and compete at world level in boxing is completely absurd and obviously unprecedented. It's never been done before in the history of the sport. When will this guy get old? When will he bite off more than he can chew? This guy, even in the fights he's lost, apart from the first Roy Jones fight, even the fights he's lost have all been close fights. No one's beat this guy comprehensively apart from Roy Jones in the first fight. So, betting against Hopkins, you do that at your peril. This guy has proven people wrong more times than I can even remember, never mind care to remember. Will he do it here against Kovalev? Now, Kovalev is a wrecking ball right now. He's blazing a trail through the light heavyweight division. He's got people shook to bits. He's almost like the Gennady Golovkin of the light heavyweight division. Not quite there yet, but he's getting there. So, for Hopkins to take on a guy like this, a guy who's a genuine puncher, this might be the hardest puncher that Bernard Hopkins has ever faced in his entire career. He's fought big punchers before, but this might be the hardest puncher of them all. Now, Kelly Pavlik could punch. Right? Say what you want to say about Pavlik, but he could always punch. But I think Kovalev might even eclipse Pavlik in terms of punching power. Antonio Tarver could always punch a little bit, but I don't think he was on Kovalev's level. So this is an extremely dangerous fight, which Hopkins deserves a massive amount of credit just for taking at his age. At any age, really, because it ain't like anyone else is really clamoring to get in the ring with Sergey Kovalev. Certainly not the other light heavyweight champion, Adonis Stevenson. So Hopkins deserves a massive amount of credit for taking the fight. If he wins the fight, then he will be the #1 pound for pound fighter in boxing right now, at a minimum. And like I said, if he wins, you could also make a very strong case for him being the greatest fighter of all time. His legacy is that long. His resume is that deep. The things he's achieved in the sport are so extraordinary that it would be ridiculous to not at least consider him among the top 10 greatest fighters of all time. So this is history in the making right here. We're going to see what happens, whether Hopkins can pull it off, whether he can't. I'm intrigued and I'm looking forward to this fight. Drop your comments below. Do you think Hopkins has bit off more than he can chew? Or do you think he's going to school another young upstart yet again? School a guy who's young enough to be his son. He's done it many times before. Very much looking forward to the fight. Hopkins turned his back or left the negotiating table left the Adonis Stevenson negotiating table, I think rightfully so. He deserves to be the A side, given what he's achieved, given who he is, his status in boxing right now. I'm sure Kovalev understands that. And one more thing which I'm happy about when it comes to this fight is the fact that we're seeing a cross-network fight happening here. The fight apparently will be on HBO, but as we all know, Hopkins is normally a Showtime fighter, and he's with Golden Boy. Kathy Duva was asked about the situation regarding working with Golden Boy since Richard Chafers left. And she basically said she's extremely happy because now it's a very easy deal to do. So it seemed that Richard Schaefer was perpetuating a lot of the beef and this Cold War situation, not only with Bob Arum and Top Rank, but also with other promoters. So, like I said, when I initially made a video about the whole Cold War and Richard Schaefer leaving, to me it seems like nothing but a good thing. Oscar De La Hoya wants to put all these petty beefs aside and just make the best fights. That's what he wants to do, because he cares about the fans most. So I salute De La Hoya, man. I salute Hopkins. I salute Kovalev. I'm glad this fight is getting made. And other people have commented and said this proves that these phony excuses that fighters use are phony. Or these excuses that fighters use are phony in terms of hiding behind rival promoters and all that kind of stuff, hiding behind rival TV networks. Oh, we can't do it, we're on different TV networks. Well, if the desire is really there, the fights can get done. I've always said that from the beginning. And I always remember David Haye, ironically coming from David Haye, but I always remember David Haye before he moved up to heavyweight in an interview on Satanta Sports saying the exact same thing. He came out, I remember very clearly in that interview, and he was saying, when fighters use rival TV networks and rival promoters as an excuse not to fight, or as a reason why they're not fighting, it basically means that one or both of the fighters don't really want the fight. If two fighters really want it, the fight will happen. If there's a public demand and the two fighters want it, the fight will definitely happen. The only way it can't happen is if there ain't enough public interest, or if one or two of the fighters don't really want it. They just hide behind these excuses. They use them conveniently, at their convenience. So it is what it is. I'm happy this fight is taking place. Drop your comments below. Let me know how you feel about this fight and how you see it going. Do you dare to bet against Hopkins? Has he bitten off more than he can chew? Let me know in the comment section below. This is Hatman, I'm out.